Mhm. Thank you, Vanilla. Uh, all good? Can you hear? Okay. Oh, this is. Mm. Yep. Good evening, and yeah, welcome back. Uh, so I think yesterday was a lot of mind-boggling, a lot of new terms, jargons, and sort of thing. My sort of mission today is to unravel what I have juggled up yesterday. To Yesterday was scrambled, so I'm going to unscramble it today. Um, I will try to unscramble it today. Then, um, uh, so after explaining um, sort of the identifying the different stages of Bardo and all that, we will try to sort of like we did on the second day, we will simulate the transition, Bardo transition, and all that. Yeah. And today I will try to open up for more questions, and hopefully I will, I will, I will, I will try to simplify the talk. Um, mm. So, like usual, we will do with the Sangecho of course. Then, yep. So page 4 and 5. Yeah. Thank you. Sangye chedan zoye jonam lan chanjo pardon dane kyabso che daye chen songye be sanam gyen chola penjire sangye dro bara sho sangye che zoye jonam lan chanjo pardon dane kyabso che daye chen songye be sanam Dola benje sangye drupara sho sangye cheda zoye chonam chanju bardo andane gyepso che dagye jinso gyebe sanam ge Dola benje sangye drupara sho. The second paragraph, page 4. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind of full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. With a wish to free all beings, I shall go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom, compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind of full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. I go for refuge to the Triple Gem. I confess the negativities individually. I rejoice in the virtues of all beings. I hold the precious Buddhahood in my heart. Due to the merits of these virtuous actions, may I quickly attain the state of a Guru Buddha and lead all beings without exception into that enlightened state. May the supreme bodhicitta that has not arisen has arise and grow, and may that which has arisen not diminished but increase forevermore. I dedicate the merit thus gathered for the realization of the deeds and the prayers of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the three times, and to the upholding of the Dharmas of teaching and realization. May I, in all lives, through the force of this merit, never separate from the four wheels of the Mahayana vehicle, and accomplish to know the stage of the path, renunciation, bodhicitta, perfect view, and the two stages. Hmm. So actually, the opening prayer and the con con closing prayer are all mixed up in this one, right? Um, yeah, from the middle point, due to the merit of these virtues, this is actually dedication. The first two is opening, yeah, opening and closing. So anyway, that's good. We were able to close, bring closure, yeah. Okay. Sa yin böge zhu yin me do ta ma zhi ra ling xie nin de gen ba de Sangye Shindo Midem Biwa Yin Chogu Namda Shinla Chebara Sho Ida Mangurur Mendala Gamni Yandara Mi. Oh yeah. So there's two questions from most likely from yesterday. So the first question was someone who has realized is a realized practitioner or accomplished practitioner in the Dzogchen or Mahamudra Chakichambo practices. Does that person has to worry about going through Bardo at the time of death? So the answer to that question is both yes and no. Okay. Because the question was going through Bardo. They have to go through Bardo, but do they have to worry about going through Bardo? No. So they have to go through Bardo, but basically all the realized masters, accomplished practitioners, do not have to worry about death. Um, Choba Rab, right? The Rab is supreme. The supreme practitioner is someone who is actually excited to jump into death. Mm. Choba Rab, this is the Tibetan saying, actually from the Lamrim. Choba Rab means the supreme practitioner or the best practitioner. The best practitioner is the one who is excited to jump into the process of death. Mm. Uh, the average practitioner or the middle one, the medium practitioner, the average practitioner is one who has no regret at the time of death. No regrets. Yeah. Death has come. Uh, I'm not sure about the future, but of the past, I have no regret. Nothing to look, nothing to worry about in the past. Choba ding, gyoba meba, right? The average or the middle, um, what do you call middle average? The one in between. Okay, so that one is someone who has no regret. Uh, uh, the last one. Hmm, okay, last one is what? I forgot. Choba rap. Ah, the middle one has no fear. The last one is at least have no regrets. Yeah. So one who is excited, uh, one who has no fear, right? I have to go, but I can go. I don't fear that. And the last one has fear, is not excited to go, but still what has happened in the past, no regrets, right? The best practitioner, excited to die. Middle one, no fear. The last one, no regrets. Yeah. So therefore, the answer to the question lies there. For a realized master, I think it will come in today's topic. For the realized master, for an accomplished practitioner, um, the death moment or that moment is the moment where you can stay in a very complete isolation practice, and that's an Indian song. It's very distracting for me. Very popular song. I was looking, is there any Indian here? Um, yes. Uh, it's a phone call. Yeah. Um, so, okay, come to the present moment. I'm telling myself, okay? Okay, so yes, for accomplished master, we will talk about this very soon. Uh, for accomplished master, no need to worry. This is actually a very good chance to stay in isolation and concentrate on the ultimate reality, or concentrate on um, emptiness. You will have total uninterrupted concentration on emptiness, which will advance your practices, and will help you to achieve enlightenment uh, sooner. Yeah. Mm. Um, so I will talk about this later. Other question, another question. So yeah, the answer is no need to worry for um, not only Mahamudra Dzogchen, but any accomplished practitioner. Also, if you are well versed in this practice that we are discussing today, then you will not have to worry about much. Yeah. Okay. No need to worry. First question. Second question: where is our mind? Inside our brain or inside our heart? Um, so the concept of mind or the sem in the Tibetan we call it sem or chitta in Sanskrit, right? It's all pervasive. Mm. It pervades in all parts of the body. Uh, it's not necessarily how to say situated in the heart, crammed in the heart or crammed in the brain, not necessarily. So usually we talk about so there's a little difference in how we identify the mind, or in other words, like consciousness, in Buddhist philosophy, and then in the non-Buddhist philosophy, such as um, basically what we refer to as Hinduism, right? So in non-Buddhist philosophy, um, consciousness is one, only one consciousness that sort of mm, controls, not really control, but that is there at all times. Similar to the concept of soul, the consciousness is um, all pervasive, like what we are referring to in the Buddhist psychology. But not only that, the consciousness is what makes everything work, function. Because of consciousness, everything is at work. Mm. Uh, but in Buddhist understanding, there is no, just like we don't have the concept of the God, there is no concept of the mind or the consciousness. Uh, so therefore, we have the five senses or the six senses, you can say. So all um, the senses, the senses have consciousness. The five senses, the eye sense, eyesight or eye sense, ear sense, the oral senses, the nasal senses, the visual senses, everything has a consciousness. So, for example, when we see something with our eye or our eyesight, um, the eyesight is basically a form of consciousness, a form of mental factor, type of mental factor, because the eyeballs cannot see. The eyeballs are matter, not mind. The eyeballs are um, physical, not psychological. So therefore, the eyeballs cannot see. The seeing part comes from something that has to come from something that is mental or that is psychological. So, I mean, psychological, mental, they all mean different things. So something that is not material, because the eyes, eyeballs, and the senses, all of these are material. The visions can only be captured through something that is immaterial. So mind is immaterial. The immaterial aspect of the material senses, the material factors that we have, is the mind. So therefore, the mind or a mind is on all parts of our body. It's all pervasive. But there, we don't talk about the concept of the mind, like one mind that is sitting in a surveillance room and surveilling everything. There is no such mind. Uh, so there are minds, or there are consciousnesses for each receptors, eye receptor, ear receptor, all of them has a consciousness that can capture, that can apprehend, that can see an object, that can hear a sound. All this is done through the ear consciousness, eye consciousness, taste consciousness, so on and so forth. Mm. And all of those five, the five senses have five consciousness, and the five consciousnesses culminates into um, the sixth sense, right? The sixth sense is said, we all have the sixth sense, okay? The sixth sense, especially what we refer to usually as a valid sixth sense, right? A valid sixth sense basically means a sixth sense that is in working condition. They can actually is not like we discussed last night, is in a dormant state for ordinary being. It is not manifested. uh, um, ngunsum la khalera, ngunsum direct perception. So yeah, direct perception, right? Direct perception is like something you can see with your eyes directly. That is a direct perception. So after I look at your face and then I close my eyes and then I was able to project your image within my conception. That is known as the indirect perception or conceptual perception, right? So direct perception uh, mm, of the sixth sense, sixth consciousness, a direct perception of the sixth consciousness, the sixth consciousness as a direct perception, right? The sixth consciousness as a direct perception. Sixth consciousness basically means the mental consciousness. So the mental consciousness as a direct perception uh, does not materialize in ordinary beings. We of course do have that, okay? The sixth sense, the sixth sense we have. So I need to rephrase what I said earlier. I need to correct myself. So we do have the sixth sense in working conditions, but only the indirect one, not the direct one. The mental conception, basically, when I see your face, I close my eyes, I can still see them in my imagination. I can visualize that. That is indirect. The direct connection was with my eye consciousness and your faces. So after I close my eyes, I no longer see it directly. The picture that I have captured of your faces directly is stored in my memory, and I play that or project that within my conception, and then I can actually remember your face, remember your action, this and that. So indirectly, my mental consciousness is working. So therefore, we usually call that indirect perception. I think the more proper term used was conceptual perception, right? Topa. So conceptual perception and direct perception. Direct perception is like hearing the sound, seeing the face, tasting food, etc. Uh, as far as direct perception is concerned, mental consciousness, right? As far as direct perception is considered, mental consciousness does not arise in ordinary beings. As far as direct perception is considered, mental consciousness or the sixth consciousness does not arise, does not materialize, does not manifest in ordinary beings. But indirectly or in a conceptual manner, conceptually, it does arise. Okay. So anyway, so the six senses, all of the six senses has six consciousness, and all these consciousness are mental formations, and there are what you can call a part of mind, an aspect of the mind. So therefore, the mind is all over, for especially the touch sense, right? For example, whichever part of your body someone tries to um, poke it, you will feel pain, etc. And the reason is that it is uh, covered or pervaded by the touch sense, and the touch sense, that touch sense, it can itself cannot sense it without the help of a touch consciousness. So that, like, the eyeballs cannot see, the eyesight sees, or even if you go further than that, the eyesight is relying on the eye consciousness, the sight consciousness, to see a certain object. Yeah. So because of that, there is a very big debate among the Buddhist tenets, like the four schools of Buddhist tenets, not the four schools of Tibetan Buddhism, okay? Like the four schools of Buddhist philosophy in India. For example, the very the first school, which usually we call the Vaibhashika school, the Charamawa, right? The particularist. They say that the eye consciousness should not be seeing things. The ear consciousness is not seeing things. It is the eyeball that sees. It is the ear, I don't know what you may call it, eardrums or whatever, that is hearing the things. Because if the eye consciousness can see, because eye consciousness is immaterial, right? Because of that, the eye consciousness could see something behind this wall. We should be able to see something that is what is happening behind this wall, because the if you are seeing something with the eye consciousness and not with the eyeball, because things were seen with the eyeball, and the eyeball or the eyeball has a limitation, is restricted by this wall, cannot see. If it's a mental formation, if you see with your mind or the eye consciousness, if you are seeing with the eye consciousness, then nothing should be, no sight should be interrupted, or there would be no impediments, because the walls cannot stop a mind to travel. Mind can travel anywhere. That's the sort of the debate they put up with. Anyway, so where is our mind? It's inside our brain or inside our heart, everywhere. Okay. Mhm. Mhm. And so there is a two texts on that. Okay. Usually, generally, in most Buddhist texts, you will find the mind as totally immaterial. Okay. So since we are talking about Bardo and this Bardo practice, we are going more into the Vajrayana section. In the Vajrayana, which is usually people consider the like common teachings as more philosophical, and the Vajrayana as less or not philosophical at all. But actually, in the Vajrayana, the basis of Buddhist philosophy is built up on common Mahayana technique teachings, but then it gets refined more and more as you advance into the Vajrayana teachings. Especially, you have the different classes of the Vajrayana, like the Kriya Tantra, Charya Tantra, etc. Then it gets more and more refined. So in that understanding, the mind is not necessarily totally, completely immaterial. In other words, mind can be both. Usually we consider mind to be immaterial. In general, Buddhist teaching, like 90% of like what you would any Buddhist book you open up, talk about the mind, it says the mind is immaterial. In Vajrayana, especially you go to the highest HYT teachings, you will find that the mind can be material as well. And today we will be exposed to that part as well. Um, so we will tread carefully. Um, um, so there are certain parts. Um, yeah, so we will tread carefully. No, we will tread carefully. Anyone here not received HYT, like High Yoga Tantra, Highest Yoga Tantra, have received? Not received, not received, not received. Okay, okay, yeah, okay. So yeah, okay. Now we go back to what we discussed yesterday. Uh, First of all, I have to make a confession. I make a mistake yesterday. Okay. So you can smudge off whatever you wrote yesterday. 2 pages, just smudge, just tear it off. Just kidding. So we talk about the dissolution of the four elements, right? And we talk about the five, the four elements and the four tongba, four voidnesses, right? We talk about that, and I said yesterday that it happens simultaneously. Okay, so generally speaking, for general purpose, okay, let's say for ordinary beings, in generally speaking, they happen one after the other. Okay, there are certain cases where it happens simultaneously. In generally speaking, most of the cases, for let's say for us, it happens one after the another. So the four element, the four elemental dissolution is followed by the four void dissolutions. Okay, so it does not happen on the same time. I said yesterday it happens on the same time, so you can smudge it off. So the four elements: earth, water, fire is earth, water, fire, and wind. Yeah. So at those four instances, there is because they do not happen on the same time, the the sense or the feeling or the appearances are different on those two different things. So when the um, uh, we talk about the earth dissolving into the water and this and that. Uh, so actually, to go a little bit deeper, because earth is associated with hardness and firmness. So that is the internal hardness and the external hardness. So external hardness or hard thing is our body, the flesh, and etc. So the energy or the vitality of the body, the physical body, is weakened. When it was weakened, it's called the body dissolving into the earth. Okay. So in any case, the body dissolving into the earth, and yeah, the earth then dissolves into the water, right? At that time, the appearance that you had was that because earth is for hardness. So when the earth dissolves outside, your body becomes stiff and all, weakened and all that. Internally, you started to feel like you are feeling falling off a pit because no more firmness, right? Just falling down, that sort of thing appearance. Mm. Um, mm. So yes, so the appearance or the sense of feeling, the sense of how do you call that? What you start to experience at that moment. Yeah. So experientially, you start to feel, you started to suffer, you started to feel the pain of falling down, etc. And the the sense of appearance that you have, so is that of a mirage. So mm, when the earth dissolves into water, because water, mirage is not there, but mirage is water not there. So because now the earth is dissolving into the water, the image of water appears. Basically, mirage appears. So what happens at that time is when you have, say, a mirror, you start to feel something moving, shaking. That's how a mirage works, right? So the sense of vision that have, oh yeah, so that's the word I'm trying to look for. The visions and the experience. The experience is pain as in falling down. The vision is that of a mirage when the earth dissolves into water. Water dissolves into fire. The vision, the vision is that of a smoke. Yeah. smoke. So then the fire dissolves into right? Water dissolves fire. Fire dissolves into the wind. At that time, the vision is that of a firefly. Fireflies. Fireflies. So basically, the visions go bleaker and bleaker. Yeah. um, so the fireflies in total darkness, you can see the butt of the firefly just how to say, lightning or luminosity. What's the term? Huh? Lightning? Huh? Huh? Blinkering, blink, huh? Flickering, yeah, flickering. So you start it flickering. That is all about that is about it. That light is not able to shed how to say, sort of light onto other that source of light, that source of luminosity is not able to shed light on any other thing, just a flicker, right? So basically it becomes bleaker and bleaker. Okay, so then the wind dissolves into the consciousness, right? So this consciousness is a much more subtle consciousness. So when the subtle consciousness, when this thing happen, the subtle consciousness takes place. Subtle consciousness is sort of wind dissolved into subtle consciousness. So whenever the preceding element is dissolved or weakened, the next element becomes stronger, because basically you are focusing everything, you are giving all work to that one tool. So similarly, so because of that, when the four elements were all dissolved, the subtle consciousness becomes more powerful, or becomes more active, becomes more multi-purpose, multitasking. It becomes more powerful, becomes more focused, more refined. And in that moment, the um, the four sets of voidness takes place. Okay, we talked about this last night. The luminosity, the increase, the close attainment, and then total darkness, right? So the first three things are the more important one, okay? Luminosity. So luminosity is very misleading, because you see most of the time in visualization related practices, luminosity is something to do with positive, right? Like the luminosity of the deity, this and that. So here in the Bardo practice, here the term luminosity, for your information, in some texts it's used, it's also referred to as clarity. So the Tibetan word used is nangwa. Nangwa can mean appearance. It can mean light. It doesn't really mean clarity. It does mean light. It does mean luminosity. It does mean appearance. If you use it as a, um, um, if you use it as a, you can use that as both as a verb and an adverb. Is that a word? Nawa and nawa. So the way you phrase it, it can be used both as something to appear and the appearance itself. Both can be, the term nawa can be used. If you say nawa, that means to appear. If you say nawa, that is actually a noun. If you say to appear, nawa, that is to appear. It's a verb. So anyway, nangche topsum, right? The first one is a little bit tricky, nawa. That nawa is a Tibetan word. Cheba is a Tibetan word. Toba is a Tibetan word, right? Nangche topsum. So luminosity, I'm using the term luminosity, okay? So those of you who are curious, it can also be I saw in some book they use term clarity, okay? If you use clarity, it's that can also be misleading. The Tibetan word is nawa. So at the time, so nangche topsum, we talked about this last night. Nangche topsum is the term luminosity, increase, close attainment is a term used to describe something called Kundo Geju. Kundo Geju is basically the 80 naturally uh, arising conceptual thoughts, right? So there is 30. Last night I also got the numbers wrong. There's a 33 for the clarity or luminosity, 40 for increase, and 7, not 8, 7 for the what is that? Close attainment. So these three things, increase, close attainment, and luminosity, refers to the three poisons: anger, attachment, and ignorance. It refers to these three things. So mental factors that are part of, or that are types of mental factors that are associated with anger, or the Tibetan word shedang, is 33. Associated with attachment is 40. Associated with ignorance is 7. Right? So now what happens is these three dissolution also takes place. The dissolution of the luminosity into the dissolution of the luminosity into, so that the term used is like that, okay? But it doesn't mean it actually dissolves into that. I told you yesterday too, right? The fire dissolve into water does not mean fire really dissolves into water. This is the term used. When the fire, the warmth decreases, the heat decreases, and then it's, and the when the preceding element has decreased or was reduced, the next element automatically becomes stronger, much more how to say, sensitive. So when the the successive elements become more sensitive, and the preceding elements become have drawn down, it's called dissolving. It's not really dissolving, okay? But that's the term used as a special terminology used in the Vajrayana, in the Bardo practice. Okay, so similarly, Nangche Topsum, the luminosity, the increase, and the close attainment, the term we use is that they also dissolve into each other. But in reality, they do not dissolve into each other, okay? But we use the term luminosity dissolving into increase dissolving into what's the last one? Close attainment, like that. That's the term we use, but it does not mean that it really dissolves into that thing. So maybe you have a question later about why we use terms to confuse people, okay? Then there's an answer for that later. You can ask that question. So, so what that means is luminosity is associated with krodh, which is anger, which is hatred, which is dislike, all that, right? I usually like the other term. This starts with an A. I always keep forgetting that term for anger. Uh, aversion. Yeah, I like that word much better, because it actually resembles. It's closer to the both Sanskrit and the Tibetan word of shedang, Sanskrit krodh. You really dislike something. You really want to be away. Like, you want to, basically feeling repulsive, want to move away from something. That is the true meaning of shedang, right? Not necessarily anger as in a burning anger or being crazy or mad about it. Aversion. Aversion, attachment. Yeah. So aversion has 33. Aversion is 33. So aversion takes place for, in general, ordinary people. The aversion and luminosity, which is aversion, increase, which is attachment, both take place because of the two droppings. So I used the term dropping last night, but another term used was essence. Okay, the Tibetan term is kam. So kam karbo, kam marbo, right? The white essence and the red essence. So no, last night I used the term discharge. So Kam Karbo is white discharge or white element, white element, and Kam Marbo is red element. So basically, that is at the crux of it. Basically, that is semen and blood. So according to Buddhist sort of you can say anatomy, the blood comes from the mother and the semen comes from the father. Okay, so so there's a so this particular moment after the wind has dissolved into the consciousness and the consciousness, the subtle consciousness. Now the subtle consciousness starts dissolving into increase. The luminosity. Okay, this is subtle consciousness. Subtle consciousness starts dissolving into luminosity. As I said before, just a reminder, subtle consciousness dissolving into luminosity does not mean it actually dissolves into luminosity. It just means after the wind, subtle consciousness become more sensitive. And now the subtle consciousness sensitivity has decreased, reduced, and the aversion, which is known as luminosity, has increased. Okay, so that's why it's called subtle consciousness dissolving into increase at the luminosity. So at that time, what happens is the vision you have at that moment of luminosity, the vision you have at the time of luminosity is whiteness. So it is said of for all three visions is likened to a clear sky, autumn clear sky. Autumn clear sky. The first one, luminosity, is the vision you have is likened to full moon. So I think if you look at the text, it says, yeah. So I think this is ten시 주라게 어칭길로 낭제 톱숨 가마 치마템 다니 두에 캠데 낭실세 코르데 똥버도 베네줄기 랑오랑기 셰버 칭길로. That's page 5. The appearance of luminosity, or here it's translated as luminosity. So luminosity, increase, and attainment successively dissolve. So once again, I'm going to remind you, because it's important, dissolving is the term used, but it actually does not dissolve into each other, okay? So the first vision is moon, the second is sun, and the third is darkness. When appearances like the moon, sun, and the darkness pervade, so don't note down at the right away. When appearance like a moon, sun, and darkness pervade through the yoga of realizing the emptiness of samsara nirvana, may I be blessed to recognize my own true nature. So moon, no problem. It's a full moon. Sun is not the bright sun that you see on a very good day. Even though it's the sun is basically referring to a sunset. The sun is a sunset. So redness. So moon appears. The moon vision appears. The moon vision appears when the dissolution of the luminosity takes place. So like a white moon, the vision during the time of luminosity. Luminosity is a name used for a certain mental factor. Okay, it's a part of mind. That mind is all to do with aversion, right? So aversion-related thoughts, concept, everything, but very subtle aversion, subtle. All of them start dissolving. when the aversion related mind or aversion related mental conceptions, subtle aversion related mental conception start to dissolve, the vision that you have, or in other words, the sign you have is that of uh, full moon. Full moon. Basically, you start to feel the whiteness. The reason behind that is, we talked about this a little bit yesterday, for the mind or the mental factors or for the mind to run around within and to apprehend objects, everything, it has to rely on the wind energy, or you can call it just basically for easy to understand, for simplification, we will call it energy. The Tibetan, we use the term wind, lung. Lung. We have to rely on the lung. Lung is basically wind, but wind can be understood in the form of waves and energies. So here is the most subtlest form, which is the energy. So the mind, even now, this is where we're coming to the mind being material and immaterial thing. So normally we think of mind as totally immaterial, right? But in the Vajrayana, when we go like there, it is mind is understood to be immaterial but dependent on material things. We discussed that a little bit earlier. Basically, it's dependent on the wind energy or the energies. The mind has to travel on the energies, and the energies, the wind energies, are referred to as the ride vehicle, car, the mount. The wind is regarded as the ride of the mind. Wind is the ride of the mind. Okay, for the mind to travel, run anywhere, it has to rely on the energies. Yeah. And this energy, all this energy that is associated with uh, attachment, associated with the luminosity, uh, uh, is stored in the, so we have the understanding of the three channels, the central channel, right and left. So the right channel, which is to do, which stores the energy for luminosity, or in other words, the word, what is the word again? I forgot. For anger. Aversion. Yeah. Aversion. I think I will always keep forgetting that word. So aversion. So aversion, the right of aversion, all the energy that, all the energy that, all the energies that aversion-related mindset rides on are stored in the right channel, and the attachment-related are on the left channel. So what happens is all this air or all this energy is has now decreased, or it's how do you call that? Is being dissolved. So as the energies are dissolved, as the cars were being tucked away, the passengers in the car were also taken to wherever that car is going. The car is the energy, the passenger is the mind. So the wind energy, the energies in the right side, which is to do with the growth, which is to do with aversion, luminosity, are taken. Then the mind itself, the rider, which is the mind, is now being dissolved as well. And because at that moment, the white energy, the white energy or the white element at your crown is melted. So white element, so I think the white element is basically, I think it will come up later too. White element, white bodhicitta element, we have different name for it, is a reference to the semen, right? And the Semen, the source of semen is believed to be at the crown, Mm. So when the source of semen is melted away or start to dissolve, start to melt away, because semen has white, then you have the whiteness or the white color appearance or white color vision or the moon vision. Okay. Now, at the same time, so the moon vision stemming from the melting or dissolution of the white element at the crown takes place from top down. After that, uh, the red element or the attachment, also known as increase, also start to dissolve, decrease, dissolve, become less sensitive. And it is the wind energy for the attachment to ride on is dissolved upwards. So downwards, aversion downwards, attachment upwards to the central channel, to the central chakra, through the central channel, to the central chakra. Okay. So when that thing happens, then at the end, both the downward causation or the downward spiraling or downward pushing of aversion or luminosity and upward pushing of upward, it comes from the navel. It stems from the navel. The red element stems from the navel. So for different practices can stem from the sacred private parts, etc. So in generally speaking, it stems from the navel. Here in this practice, from the navel, goes upward to the central chakra. Okay, the central chakra is the 8 petal central chakra. So then, as both of them culminates at the central chakra, then the dissolution of the what is the word I want? Close attainment take place, which is the close attainment is for ignorance. So basically, ignorance is dissolved. Ignorance also disappear. So the red element, which is basically blood, red element go up there, goes up. Red element goes up. White element comes down. Right. Red element goes up means all attachment. The right for the ride, the car, the ride for the one of my friend used the example of a lift. Actually, that's a very good good example, right? So you have one lift here, one lift here. So basically, all the chakras you visualize as a lift. So the white chakra is sent down through the lift, through the central channel, which is the central lift shuttle. So it goes down and sits at the central chakra. Then the red energy, red element, which is basically the source of the blood. The blood goes from the navel through the lift within the central chakra, the central lift shuttle, goes up and comes to the, both of them culminates at the central chakra, right? So at that moment, they are both sort of like crush. They both culminates there. And at that time, the dissolution of the ignorance, which is what? Close attainment takes place. And this is like a nutcracker cracking a nut, walnut. So walnut has like two sides, right? Upper side, lower side. Both sides are cracked by a walnut. And that moment, the walnut is cracked. Just like that, at that moment, the close attainment dissolves. As the very moment close attainment dissolves, just like a nut being cracked, when a nut is cracked, the nut is like no more or like kind of destroyed. Similarly, at that time, total, sort of like a total, it's not, you cannot call it total destruction, but basically that is a blindness. There is a form of darkness. So I will not say blindness, I will say form of darkness. So this is like a darkness in a moonless, clear night. So moonless, clear night means clear means no cloud, but moonless means there's no moon, right? Still, so it's clear, but at the same time you cannot see anything, no, because it's so. The reason I have to use that term is to do with what follows after that. So what happens now at that, the culmination of the two, the red element and the white element, and the walnut being cracked, and the close attainment dissolution takes place, then darkness, full darkness. Okay, darkness takes place, or duskiness takes place, and darkness. And then at that moment you have the so darkness. So it's of course it's pitch black, dark, and then you sort of go into some sort of an unconscious state. Okay, so you feel like you have lost all consciousness. So when you lose consciousness, you don't remember what you have done, this and that. Up until that, you can subtly, very, yeah, very subtle, but you can still remember, recall all that. So up until the dissolution of the four elements into the subtle mind takes place, this is usually known as the Chiwa Rakpa, or the grosser level of death. Then from the Nangche Topsum, luminosity, increase, and close attainment, and then finalizing or climaxing into the climaxing into total darkness. That is the, you can call it subtle death, subtle death. The previous is the gross death, chiwa rakpa. Chiwa is death. So as far as the earth, the water, the elemental dissolutions are taking place, you can still hear, see, all of these are there, but it's how to say, blurry, incorrigible, all that. The moment subtle mind, dissolves into luminosity, then is known as the Chiwatamo, which is, in other, you might have heard people being in Tukdam. Have you heard of the term Tukdam? Like, what is they call it? Meditative death, right? Yeah, death meditation, yeah. So this take place during the Nangje Topsum. During that time, people can take this, how to say, this is the, how do you call that, like the start of the Tukdam. It's not Tukdam yet, but this is where the Tukdam starts. Now, in that moment, the dissolution of the Nangche Topsum, right? The luminosity increase and close attainment take place, and the close attainment now dissolves into total darkness, and then you felt like an unconscious state. Unconscious means unconscious, not being able to remember, recall anything. You basically, usually when the dissolution, the elemental dissolution, are over, completes, then people usually say you are dead. What do we? I think the term is clinically dead. Clinically dead. That is the term used. But in Tibetan we say chiwu chela nangu cheo mare. Chiwu means external breathing has diseased or depleted, but the nangwu, the internal breathing, or internal uk means uk is breathing, but because breathing is associated with air, wind, energy wave, this thing. So we usually use the term external air is gone, internal air is still there. So now the Tukdam starts. Tukdam has like sort of has started. So this then the people are in generally speaking, you may have a question about this later. So generally speaking, after that moment, when the dissolution, the subtle mind has dissolved, elemental dissolution has taken place, elemental dissolution has evolved into subtle mind dissolution, and the subtle mind is now dissolving into the increase and the three, the thing, then you cannot hear, see, nothing. Whatever you may be doing, people are doing around you cannot see, hear, nothing. You are like that. So the terminology, so the term used during those stages, we remember last night, Tongba, void, Shindo Tongba, extreme voidness, Tongba Chenpo, great voidness, right? So for luminosity, it's Tongba. So because when all the angers are gone, anger related, again, I forgot that word. Aversion, yeah. So aversion related mental factor all gone. So there's like a emptiness or voidness. So voidness, extreme voidness when attachment is gone. Then attachment is not gone because you have driven them out, as in abandoning them, right? We say the term used in the Dharma is we have totally kicked them out. That is not how it didn't happen that way. They were not there because they don't have a place to stay. Right? You don't have anger, you don't have attachment, you don't have ignorance, because all these three, ignorance, attachment, and aversion, are mental factors, and they need a right, they need a house, they need a place to stay. That place to stay is the wind energy. Those wind energy were all kicked out, right? Those wind energies were all dissolving. So because don't have a house to stay, so they are not staying there. It's not because you have kicked out that habit. Okay. So, so when at that time you cannot see, hear, nothing, right? Because of that, you cannot see, hear, cannot any of that. If you are an accomplished practitioner, if you are a seasoned practitioner, then this is a very good time to go into deep meditation. What we usually call deep meditation is deepness. The term deepness is basically the uh, mm, uh, what we are referring to when we say deep is when we do not have any distraction, when we are not distracted, when we are able to focus 100% or 90%, 50%, whatever, into the focal point. That is what we call deep meditation. Basically, deep as in submerged into it, delving deeply into the object of meditation. So because that's why we go to isolated place like a mountain, cave, this and that. So you don't see people, see things, don't have enemy, don't have people to bother you. And when there are no people to bother, there are no triggers, then you have a better meditation, this and that. But still, if you are not careful, even the birds singing, right? Even the wind shuffling will actually disturb your meditation, right? So therefore, at that moment, all this aversion, all this ignorance, all this attachment related, basically those distracting set of mental factors were all gone. So therefore, then you have total focus. You have total focus. And if you have experience, if you are a seasoned practitioner, then this is the time to put into practice. So the last, when appearance like the moon, sun, and the darkness pervade, through the yoga of realizing the emptiness of samsara and nirvana, may I be blessed to recognize my own true nature. So yoga, basically yoga is an English word, but Sanskrit is yoga, right? There is a small a. Anyway, I'm not gonna go into that detail. So yoga means union. So here is talking about the union of uh, emptiness, the union of nirvana and samsara. So how can samsara and nirvana be united, or can be viewed in the same, uh, with the same perspective or same light? Yeah, how can nirvana and samsara be viewed in the same light? Because they are totally, one is troubling you, one is like freeing you, so it's totally different. But then for a seasoned practitioner, through the perception, through the through the perspective of someone who is trained in the philosophy of emptiness, then they're both the same. They're both free of intrinsic existence or intrinsic nature. Therefore, both samsara and nirvana are same in that matter. What that means is if you clutch on it, even nirvana can be a form of attachment. Or nirvana is also dragging you down. Nirvana can drag you down, and there are many examples for that. If you no longer clutch on it, because with the ignorance related with not realizing emptiness, if you know everything is of empty nature, of everything is interdependent, free from independent, then you no longer clutch onto things. You no longer apprehend. Things appear, you look at them, that's it. Let it be, let it go, whatever. If you clutch on it, nirvana can also drag you down. If you free them, then the samsara can also be free. So, for example, both the warden and the prisoner, both are in the same prison. For the prisoner, it's the feeling, the emotion, the experience is different, because the other person can go back to their home, whatever. The prisoner is stuck there. If you're stuck, if you're grasp, clutch, you are stuck, samsara. Unclutched, nirvana. Back and forth. Sorry, to flip of a side of two coin. What? Two sides of the same coin. Yeah, that one. Okay. So this is just want to remind you on that. Rango rangi sheba chingilo. May I be able to recognize myself? So nyatop thamje tongbar timbale kundo choba kunshilo jegi kente tenam tabyo nyamsharse wese mabu choba chingilo. So from all the near attainment, so I use the term close attainment, so near attainment. So it's almost there, not there, right? Near attainment or close attainment. So basically the same meaning. From all the near attainments dissolving into emptiness, all conceptual elaborations cease, and the causes of obscurations purify. When the experience like a clear autumn sky, free from conditions, arises, may the mother and child clear lights unite. So, so close attainment is where we were, right? So close attainment, the dissolution of the close attainment. So when the close attainment was, or near attainment is dissolved, then is darkness, full darkness. Then you sort of feel like you were unconscious. Feeling of unconscious was there, remember? Then after a short period, you rise from that unconscious state. Who rises from that unconscious state? The body, everything is gone, right? So the thing that rises from the unconscious state, from unconscious to back to consciousness, from the unmanifest to manifest. Who is that traveler? Who is that thing? What is that thing? Who is that thing traveling from unconscious to the conscious? That is the subtlest, subtlest innate mind that has been there since beginningless. So that mind, that form mental factor traverses from the unconscious, rises as a conscious. When it rises, then it's like a sunrise, full brightness, everything clear, like that. At that moment, if you are a seasoned practitioner, if you are well versed in the philosophy of emptiness and all that, then that subtle mind can actually visualize or conceptualize emptiness. Because conceptualize only, because to directly perceive emptiness, that's very high. in general, you can conceptualize through conceptual, indirectly, conceptualize the philosophy, the emptiness. So when you're able to conceptualize emptiness at that moment, your conceptualization is so deep as if it is dissolving into the emptiness. Because when you're thinking about something so deeply, so much, then you feel as if you are there. Like if you miss someone so much, you think about that person, like then you can actually transport yourself to that place, that person, etc. Right? You feel as so. This is the second, first line. From all the near attainments, all the near attainment basically does not mean many near attainments. That the full name for close attainment is Tamje Tongba Wesel. That's the word in Tibetan. Sorry. Nyertop Tamje Tongba. Sorry. From that's okay. I need to tell you something. So close attainment. Okay, so this is a mistranslation. Okay. From okay, this should be it should be translated as this. By close attainment dissolving into what is the last emptiness? Voidness, great voidness, and then totally void. Yeah. Voidness, extreme voidness, great voidness, and total voidness, right? The four voidness. So instead of all, the term should be total. From the close attainment dissolving into total, did I use the term total? Or complete voidness. By close attainment dissolving into complete voidness, you dissolve into emptiness itself. You meaning you meaning Tamjudongba Vessel, completely void, clear light. Completely void, clear light basically is nothing other than the subtlest form of mindset. So to simplify, the subtlest form of mindset has totally dissolved itself, has delve itself deeply into emptiness. Okay. So by close attainment dissolving into complete voidness, dissolution of emptiness takes place. So that should be the meaning of the first line. By dissolving close attainment into completely void, clear light, dissolution into emptiness or dissolving into emptiness takes place. So what is dissolving into emptiness is not close attainment, because close attainment is what? Ignorance, right? So ignorance cannot dissolve into emptiness. Ignorance cannot perceive emptiness. So it is actually close attainment. You remember, it's darkness, right? After the darkness, there is a sunrise, right? That sunrise, at the time of that sunrise, Tamji Tongba Wesel take place. Tamji Tongba Wesel is the completely void, clear light. So completely void, clear light is not darkness, but total brightness. Okay? Completely bright, clear light is total brightness, as well as it is the subtlest form of innate mind. And for a practitioner, that innate mind can be used to delve deeply into emptiness. If you do that, then you have a chance of recognizing emptiness directly, even at that moment, because it's so deep. You are dissolving into emptiness. You are no longer conceptualizing or projecting it. It is there. You are just going into, directly delving into emptiness, dissolving into emptiness, delving into emptiness. So So remember, so then see, next word, next line. All conceptual elaborations cease. All conceptual thoughts have ceased, gone. And the causes of obscuration purify. Obscurations are purified, and the causes to obscurations are also purified at that moment. And the vision you have is when the experience like a clear autumn sky free from conditions arise, then may the mother and child clear lights meet. So mother clear lights is the name of the, child clear lights is the practice you have done. And child clear lights, if you have done proper practice during your alive moment, living time, on emptiness, then at the time of death, you can recognize the mother clear light, which is back to what the first line, which is completely void clear light. Completely, but I'm not finished there. Completely void clear light, realizing emptiness. If you have understood emptiness in the what do you call living state, in the preliminary state, you can call that. If you have understood, learned, understood, meditated on emptiness in your living moment, then at the time of death, when the mother clear light appears, mother clear light is the complete voidness, realizing emptiness. That is the mother clear light. The sun clear light is your, how do you call that? Your understanding of emptiness before you died, before you have ventured into that. What it basically means, these two things reconcile. These two things were able to unite, able to fit into each other. Okay. So when that thing takes place, then the person is staying in the Bardo state. This is now the Bardo has already arisen. Okay, Bardo has arisen. Sorry. So the person can stay in that period for a long time. Not Bardo has not arisen yet. You can meditate for a very long time. Okay, in that state. So for this is the Tukdam. So the completely void clear light, recognizing emptiness. That is what Tukdam is all about. Tukdam is the mind. Tukdam basically, so people talk about Tukdam all the time. What is Tukdam? Tukdam is basically the mind residing in the state of, Tukdam is basically the mind residing in the state of completely void clear light, which is the subject, recognizing the object, which is emptiness, or other form of practices that you may have. The most supreme practice is that of recognizing emptiness. Others are maybe like Didi yoga, this and that. So as long as so for simplification, I will use the term subtlest mind. Okay, subtlest mind, as well as the it's also called the fourth voidness. Fourth voidness is completely void, fourth voidless. Okay, voidness, completely void, voidness, fourth voidness, and the subtlest innate mind, same. Okay, I'll go one more time. Completely voidness, completely void, complete voidness, complete voidness, the fourth voidness, right? Complete voidness, fourth. There are four of them. The three of them are the increase, that thing, the three poisons. The fourth one is not poisonous. The fourth one is actually positive. So there's so much mix up, and it's really confusing, and it's meant to be that way. So that you can study. If it's easy, nobody studies. Huh? Once you remember something hard, it sticks in your mind. If it's easy, you don't remember. Yeah. So, fourth voidness, complete voidness, innate, subtlest mind, same. Okay. Now, that mind, subtlest mind, innate subtlest mind, nyungme sem, is innate subtlest mind recognizing emptiness or pondering on emptiness is what Tukdam is all about. Tuk is mind. Tam is to clutch, to apprehend, to hold. The mind, or for that matter, the subtlest innate mind, is apprehending or holding emptiness, or your deity, whatever your practice you are doing, it's holding on to that, clutching onto that. So this is a positive set of clutching, not the clutching of inherent existence, this thing. So when that thing happens, then you are in tuk. Tuk, hard. Tam, clutch or tighten. Tam usually means tighten, to clutch, to hold, to grab. So mind, grab, mind, clutch. Mind meaning subtlest mind, clutching meaning clutching or apprehending emptiness. That's the meaning of Tukdam. That's the basic meaning of Tukdam. Yeah. And people stay in that Tukdam state can stay for a long time. As long as they don't how to say it, come out of the Tukdam state, then as long as you don't come out of that, the has not come out of that state, then the person is in the what's that? Outer breath gone, inner breath not gone. So from a Buddhist perspective, that person has not died, clinically dead. In our tradition, our practice, he is in Tukdam. So there are two types of staying in that particular state. Okay, that you can call it Tukdam, you can call it death meditation, whatever. Or so there is the real one and the fake one. Okay, the real one is clutching on emptiness or some spiritual practice. The fake one is when you have a very strong sense of very strong sense of one of the three poisons: attachment or what's the word? Aversion. Yeah, aversion. Yeah, I cannot remember this. So aversion, attachment, any of this very strong at the time of death. Then even when this take place, right? The dissolution take place. For some reason, it's very hard to explain why, but for some reason, for very like exceptional cases, that attachment sort of a subtlest form of attachment still resides, and it is not necessarily completely void subtlest mind. Even with the subtlest mind, there is a slightly accompanying slightly attached or slightly averting sort of mindset is still there. And what that happens is it makes you basically, it acts as a what every other afflictions or afflictive emotions do. So it gets stuck on something. Most of the time it's attachment. So you are stuck there and you live in that process. You stay in that process for some time. So according to the sutra, the person who is attached and has not really in Tukdam, but has an attachment, does not stay more than 3 days. So 3 is maximum. If they are staying more than 3 days in Tukdam, then it's not attachment. It's actually real practice. Like that. Okay. So I have to finish quickly. Okay, I will not go into the commentary. Just, oh, don't have time, huh? Okay. Yedo tamje dong bar timbale. Okay, this one is done. Wese mabucho mother son done. Dongshi to zoology generally. Oh, this is important. Dongshi to zoology generally. Sambe me ribon chen shu de lenge de don jerwe shela. Ziji nyambar jokor shingilo. When the inner fire melts the moon at the crown, on the primordial wisdom united with the innate bliss and emptiness, may I be blessed to meditate one-pointedly. Hmm? So now we are talking about very special practices, okay? Special practices. This is, of course, if you train properly, then as a seasoned practitioner, what happens is, even though for one moment we talk about all this dissolution has taken place, now we do not feel, see, nothing. But at the same time, at the subtlest point, those elements, those energies still are there. So what we are doing is, the first thing is the inner fire melts the moon of the crown. So inner fire is a tumo. So by invoking the Tumo fire, you melt the semen or the white bodhicitta at the crown. So the white bodhicitta um, then melts into through the throat chakra to the heart chakra. And at that moment, there is a great bliss. So it's called bliss, unique or super special bliss. And then, anyway, so there's a great bliss coming, bliss, joyfulness. So this is the uniqueness of Vajrayana teaching. Usually, wisdom aspect, like emptiness, realizing wisdom realizing emptiness, wisdom realizing impermanence, this and that, cannot feel. Wisdom is wisdom. It just sees what things are. Is there a joyfulness derived from seeing emptiness? Yes, but that is a follow-up. The wisdom that sees emptiness does not enjoy seeing emptiness. Seeing emptiness, the joyfulness of seeing emptiness, the joyfulness of understanding the Dharma comes as a follow-up. It's a different emotion, generally speaking. But in the Vajrayana, the very wisdom, the very mindset which can see the reality can also feel it, can feel the emotion of joyfulness. So this is called the union of the Dewa and Tongba. Tongba is a term used for Tongba Nyi, and in this particular case, it is used for Tongba Nyi's emptiness, by the way. So this term is used for the wisdom that recognizes Tongba Nyi or emptiness. The wisdom that recognizes Tongba Nyi, emptiness, can also feel the joyfulness of recognizing emptiness. Usually the feeling joyfulness is a sort of accompanying sort of a mindset or emotion. So when your eye see something, you start feeling good here, usually, right? But in the Vajrayana, for a seasoned practitioner, when you see something nice, basically, I'm just stretching it a little bit. When you see something nice, the eyesight can also enjoy the view. Like you don't feel good here, you feel good here itself. This is just my stretching. I'm just giving an example because there's no other example. There's no good example to say. So the wisdom that sees and realizes emptiness can actually feel the joy of seeing emptiness. Doesn't need to substitute that job to another emotion. You got it? So this is called Dedong Nisu maybe in Tibetan. The inseparable or um, mm, the oneness of bliss and wisdom, the oneness of bliss and emptiness, the wisdom, the 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 inseparable singular wisdom, the inseparable singular wisdom of bliss and emptiness. So it's a wisdom that can enjoy the bliss. It's a joyful feeling that can also see the reality. It's both. See, this is called the inseparability of bliss and emptiness. In the Sutrayana, we have the method and the wisdom. In the Vajrayana, the bliss and the wisdom. I think we should stop now, right? So unfortunately, we are unable to finish. I'm so sorry for that.
19 and 20.
Okay.
How many sessions do you think you need?
One for sure, at least. Yeah. So one session is fine. Yeah, I think because people have to, to not to inconvenience questions. Okay.
We can do that.
Yes. Thank you. I'm so sorry for my terrible management of time. I'm not sure it's helpful or not there because everything is mixed up. But okay. So basically, up to this part, we have reached to a part where we talk about the Tukdam aspect. So when the Tukdam, so I'll try to wrap it up. So when the Tukdam happens, I mean, the Tukdam is completed, right? Then the person, whoever, however, like what we call high master, realized master, whatever, they still have to go through the intermediate state because it has to mediate. Bardo is the mediating sort of thing. So it has to go through that. We talked about it last night. And yeah, so we will talk about the definition, characteristics, abilities, inabilities of the Bardo, and the other practices related to like supplication prayers and all this related to the Bardo in the next session, right? And yeah, so you have question here? One question I can take, or maybe a question take from here. Two question, yeah. Okay. How is it? How and what does one practice regularly in order to familiar with the stages of Bardo that will help us during the dying stage? Okay, good question. Um, when and where is the poa take place when the last wind energy flow with the consciousness if one practice poa? Okay, so I will try the first one. What one practice regularly? What does one practice regularly in order to familiar with the stages of the Bardo? So, like there are many different teachings on Bardo, like Bardo Theodul, Bardo Tangjul. This is Bardo Tangjul. By familiarizing, basically, you need to familiarize on the dissolution process, familiarizing yourself on the two dissolution of the elemental dissolution, as well as the dissolution of the four voidness. This will help you. Uh, dissolution of the four elements means you are externally death, clinically death. Then you rely on the inner breath, or what we call in Tibetan inner breath. In that moment, then you have to realize you study that properly. Then focusing on that, that is the inner breathing. So you are in the chivatamo, or the subtle death form now. You are dying subtly. So if you recognize all these stages, then when the what is called that thing, close attainment dissolves, then you know you have entered into Chiwa vessel. Okay, Chiwa vessel. Oh, so another name for that I skipped. So clear light, subtlest clear light, right? The fourth voidness, right? And completely void, three I gave. The last name is Chiwa vessel in Tibetan. Chiwa means death, vessel means clear light. Death, clear light. So they're all same. So the death clear light takes place. You have to recognize that moment. So when the death clear light takes place, if you are familiar with your practices, so one practice you can do is this one. The another practice is that of Didi Yoga. If you are familiar with Didi Yoga, if you look at the thing, basically your mind has been going, your whole existence has been going subtler and subtler and subtler. First, the most hardened thing, or the firm thing, like the body is dissolved. Then lesser, 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 lesser. So it becomes more and more and more subtle, right? Less and less rigid, less and less coarse, right? It goes all the way deep. So basically, you are able to sort of remove everything. You are able to remove when the dissolution basically is about removing everything that is not you, but has to come together to make you known as what you are. Okay? None of these are you. Okay? None of these are you. It goes subtle and subtle, 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 and then it pinpoints at something called the subtlest form of the mind. You have to recognize that one. The subtlest form of the mind. And the mind, of course, has two characteristics: clarity, right? The ability to see, right? Kasa, clear and perceptive, right? Able to see and is clear by its very nature. So that mind we usually talk about, we talk about the mind. If you, I think that this is from the first question, like yesterday's question, where is the mind? You cannot find it anywhere from the bottom. Everywhere you look, cannot find the mind. But if you say there's no mind, that is a very functioning, practical mind going there. So a mind which is there, but is unfoundable, is called Seldong Songju. Okay, Tibetan. Selwa means clear. It is vibrantly working, functioning. It's there. But at the same time, when you look for it, you cannot find it. It's tongba, empty. Sel tong, it's clear. At the same time, it's void, not there. It's there and it's not there. That Songjuk means union, right? The union of that being there and not being there is the reality of the mind. The mind being there and not being there at the same time, sort of a very thin line you are treading on. Recognizing that, realizing that, knowing that, you will be able to find the very essence of the mind, if you like. If you know that, that is the thing which is being, so I'm going back to the second question. That is what is being transferred. That is being powa. Powa means to transfer. So what is being transferred from this life to the next life or any other life, any other realm is that mind which is there and not there at the same time. Okay? It's of course it's a technical jargon, but the poa takes place. That this is what is being poa. Poa means to transfer. That is being poa. Yeah, so both answer in the same question, I think. Yeah. Yeah, basically poa means transference of your consciousness. Yeah, yeah. We will talk about this next teaching as well. Yeah.
So to complete the
Oh, yes, yeah, absolutely. Very important. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. So the whole teaching will be uploaded later also, right? So you can follow them later. But I will give the oral transmission here today for those and everyone you have taken so much time to come. So with much appreciation and gratitude, I will finish the oral transmission. And the commentary you can listen later because it's being recorded here. It's here. Oh, tele langse chiwa wesel ki. Is this the one? Yeah. Tele langse chiwa wesel ki longsem tsamle tsembe pembarwa pardo longjo zobe kurshengne gyume tingzing zobar chingilop. When arising from that state, the clear light of death from mere wind and mind, may the body radiate with auspicious marks and signs. Having arisen as the Sambhogakaya of the Bardo, may the illusory concentration be perfected. Then kelde legi pardo drupjuna chedo tabe keche pardo yi dongel dembar mebe tsuto ne tuna thabar chawar chingilo. If by karma a bardo existence arises, may I immediately realize that the suffering of birth, death, and bardo is not truly existent, and may mistaken appearances arise purely. Jungwa lobe dashi jingnangsum mangye tanam naso sherwetse chenang sangwa gyurwe nenjurki namda shingdu kyawar chingilok. The four sounds of elemental disturbances, the three fearful appearances, and various uncertain signs arise. Through the yoga of inner, outer, and secret transformation, may I be blessed to be born in a pure realm. Kaju ribot zimbe tencho kham, changju lapsum dembe lu sung te, rimni lamgi tokba tarchi ne, kusum nyudu toba chingilok. So that first or is, I think, extra. Okay. May I obtain the supreme support of a Vidyadhara of the sky goers, or assume a body endowed with the three trainings of pure conduct. Having perfected the realization of the two stages of the path, may I be blessed to swiftly attain the three kayas. As you know, usually we have this sort of tradition of when we finish a certain teaching, we go to the very beginning so that we may have a chance to dwell on that next time. In this case, we don't have to because we still have something left. So as I said, this lineage comes from His Holiness, Uh, I received it from His Holiness 2014. And yeah, I think that's about it. And really appreciate all of you for coming and paying attention. Yeah, thank you. Sorry. Yes, dedication. Gyewa di nyordo dat lama sangye trubyu. Jowa chikya malu pa de sala ge barasho chanju semjo remboj. Mage panam ge gyurush. Keba nyamba me kone gondom be warasho. So I thought about saying something about the upcoming sort of practices, one of which was the Nyungne. So Vanilla has been saying that last 3 days. I wanted to keep it for the last one. I thought I will have some time, but it seems like I don't have much time. So I'm just going to say that, of course, Nyungne is very important. And we are doing the Vajrasattva, medicine, Buddha, everything to reduce our negative karma. And Nyungne is a very effective practice to do that. So basically, when we reduce our intake of food, of conversation, basically all the gossip, everything comes from conversation, everything, we reduce all the distractions, external distraction, internal distraction. We talked about this already before, right? The mind has to rely on the ride. So when the external distractions are all gone or removed, forcefully removed, then the internal strength is sensitized, right? What happened with the dissolution practice, right? Uh, Remember, dissolution does not mean actual dissolution. It means the next one becoming more sensitive. So when the other senses, the food, all these things, what we do a lot of day, which remember the Shanti Deva's teaching, we have been taking care of this cess making, stool making machine. Yeah. So it will be lacking less stool for during the Nyungne, that's for sure. Yeah. Uh, so we will all talk about, oh, you are creating a mess, you are creating a mess. So we'll be creating less mess that time, right? Less cess, less tool means less mess. So at least that is better. That's good for the environment. I don't know. Anyway, so reducing activity, reducing food intake, all these things, correct, food for thought as well as food for the body. By reducing all of that, our mind also becomes much calmer, much more. Uh, our mental afflictions are curbed to a certain stretch. Okay, so it'll be a very good practice. It is very beneficial. The beneficial I can talk for a long time, but these are the main benefits. There are certain what do you call that, commitments to yeah, basically you will be taking the eight precepts, right? So I think you'll find out that later. So the eight precepts need to be taken every morning. It's a 24-hour sort of a circle. You have to take the vow for 24 hours, and you keep the vow. Um, you curb your negative emotions for 1 day, 2 day, and then you can sort of replicate that practice in your day-to-day life. So it's a very good sort of like a starter pack to sort of push your practices, right, further. With a team, it's better. By yourself, you may or may not be able to do so, right? So if you, we will be doing on the, I think dates are on the flyer, the poster. I think you already have the newsletter. So if you could join, it'll be very beneficial for all of us. Yeah. Just a reminder. Thank you. See you soon. Yeah. Have a